The following Agios-supported podcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Please speak with your healthcare professional before making any treatment decisions. The guests on today's show were paid to participate in this podcast.
What's up, Cheat Codes listeners? It's me, Dr. Z.
And me, Dr. C.
Dr. C, how have you been?
I'm good. How you been?
I'm doing great, man. I'm feeling the energy today. We're live.
Live in Florida. I'm excited about this.
It's our third one, man, but I think this might be the best one.
We've never had a panel like this.
We've got great panelists, man. We've got a great topic to talk through, great energy in this live crowd today. I think it's allowed for us to have the crowd introduce themselves with a little noise, right? Can we do that?
Let's hear it.
Let's introduce the crowd. They seem ready.
You ready?
I think I'm ready, man. We're going to talk about a pretty big topic today.
Agios is a biopharmaceutical company that's fueled by connections with patient communities, healthcare professionals, patients, and each other. Building on these connections and the company's unmatched leadership in the field of cellular metabolism, Agios is pioneering therapies of genetically defined diseases, a broad group of rare and more common diseases that are typically severe and life-threatening. Near term, Agios is focusing on hemolytic and acquired anemias, including sickle cell disease, pyruvate kinase or PK deficiency, and thalassemia. To learn more, visit agios.com. That's agios.com.
Dr. Callan, what do you know about CBOs? It's a CBO. What is that acronym, man?
CBO is community-based organization, and there's different kinds I think we'll hear about today, but so important in general, but especially in the sickle cell community. Having grown up in medicine in Detroit, we of course had a great one, and just vital component of the community, keeping people healthy, keeping people educated.
So much,
keeping
right?
people aware.
Yeah, it's immeasurable.
Advocating, so many important things.
It's really immeasurable, the effect, right? And I think that we've got some really high-powered panelists here that cover actually major metro areas with tons and tons of sickle cell patients. So the effect of the organizations, the individuals, the advocates represented on the stage here is really, truly unmeasurable.
Yeah, let's hear about CBOs from the experts.
Exactly. Hopefully we'll spend the next 40 or so minutes getting a feel of how far-reaching truly the effect of some of these individuals and their organizations that they represent has been. You ready to go?
Let's go.
All right. Panelists, welcome to Cheat Codes.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's a lot of you. And I think the only way that we're going to do this is to have you guys help us moderate the conversation. So we're going to start with TaLana. I'm going to have you introduce yourself. You're going to tell us a little bit about your org, the founder of your org, the year your org was founded, and the primary mission, and then you'll just tag the next person, and we'll go all the way down the line.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
So I'm TaLana Hughes, Executive Director for the Sickle Cell Disease Association of Illinois. Our founder was Howard Anderson, and he founded the organization 53 years ago in 1971. And the mission pretty much has remained the same: to enhance the quality of life for individuals with sickle cell disease and their families while also increasing access to care.
I'm Rae Blaylark. I'm the founder and executive director of Sickle Cell Foundation of Minnesota, which was established in 2015. Our mission is to improve quality of life for individuals and communities impacted by sickle cell disease and sickle cell trait.
My name is Wanda Whitten-Shurney with an emphasis on Whitten. I am from the Sickle Cell Disease Association of America, Michigan chapter, and it was founded in 1971 by my father, Dr. Charles Whitten, who also was involved in the development of the National Sickle Cell Disease Association. Our primary mission, and it's going to sound similar, is to maximize the quality of life of individuals living with sickle cell disease, but we also want to focus on helping people who are at risk for having a child with sickle cell disease make an informed decision about having a child with sickle cell disease. So that's where we are.
DeMitrious Wyant, sickle cell soldier, advocate, living in Orlando, Florida, genotype SS, here to advocate and spread education and awareness on sickle cell through music, culinary arts, and sound therapy.
I'm Tabatha McGee from the Sickle Cell Foundation of Georgia. It was founded by Dr. Nelson McGee, and Dr. King, and they founded the organization in 1971, so just shy of 54 years in December. I've been at the organization for 10 years, the CEO for the last 3 years.
Good afternoon. My name is Howard French. I'm in the Sickle Cell Association of America, Miami-Dade County chapter. I'm an individual sickle cell warrior living with genotype SS. My organization was started in 1978, but we were not incorporated until 1978, June 29, 1978. We aim to advocate, educate, and inform individuals who are living with sickle cell disease about their conditions and also enhance better way of life for everybody around us. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for introducing yourselves. We have a lot of important topics I want to cover, and I made Dr. Callahan give us a little overview earlier about what he thought a CBO was and why a CBO might be important. But I know, and you guys know, he didn't give a complete answer, right? So let's get a complete answer. Let's pull all of you in, and I want you guys to walk us and the audience and whoever's listening through to why does a CBO matter in sickle cell disease? Why should anybody care about a CBO in sickle cell disease? What does that actually mean? Let's start with you, Tabatha.
A CBO is very important. The first and foremost thing that I must say is that our sickle cell community trusts us. We've been around for a very long time. We're around before pharmaceutical companies start entering the community. They come to us for the resources that we provide them, direct care. We provide them with education, awareness, financial assistance. The CBO is very important for the community, for individuals living with sickle cell. We are an organization that provide awareness inside of our community, education inside of our community. But the most important thing, our community know that we care, and we've been around for a very long time.
TaLana, hearing Tabatha talk, your perspective here with Sickle Cell Disease Association of Illinois, tell us a little bit about what do you mean to that local community there?
So for me, I'm also a caregiver. I have a 21-year-old daughter with sickle cell disease. So the community-based organization for me is a support system. So I think from my perspective, families need support where you don't feel like you're in a silo, that nobody cares. So for me at the Sickle Cell Disease Association of Illinois, I always try to make it feel like a family reunion because you can feel very isolated when you receive a diagnosis and then also continue to feel isolated the more you enter in and out of hospital settings.
Very interesting. Rae, as a caregiver, does that resonate with you too?
That absolutely resonates with me, and because when I had my son 28 years ago, there wasn't anyone for me to reach out to. And it was a very isolating experience, and it was very difficult. And I, as a newer mom, after I got acclimated to my new normal, I said something more has to be done. I don't want anyone else to feel as isolated as I felt during the first several years of my son's life. And that's the reason that we started, and that's what we try to continue in all of the work that we do.
I'd love to pull in a warrior perspective here, and we got a couple warriors with us. So let's start with you, Howard. There's a warrior perspective here. You've heard from these CBO leaders. Tell us a little bit about from your perspective. What is the importance of a CBO here in your local community?
The CBOs are very important. Look at it. CBOs, the emphasis is in CBO, community-based organization. We're there established by the community for the community, and we operate within the confines of the community. It therefore means that we are the backbone of the community. And as an individual who is living with sickle cell disease in Miami-Dade County, it's very important the fact that, Miami generally is considered the melting pot. We have so many different people coming in, and some of these people, they don't even know that they have sickle cell disease or in a variation of it until they reach America, until they reach Miami-Dade County. So we have to go out, educate them, as I said earlier, then we've got to advocate for them, and then we've got to inform them, not just the patients per se, but also their caregivers, parents, kids in school. So it's very important from that perspective for us there. And also, as I said, by the community, within the community, for the community. So it's important. And also as an individual living with it, it makes it more important for me to be educated myself before I'm able to educate anybody else.
So important. Such an important point. DeMitrious, you also have a warrior perspective here, and I'm interested because your start as a warrior happened in a place where there probably wasn't much support.
Wasn't any support. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, born and raised, and there were no community-based organizations, so I struggled growing up as a child, never went to sickle cell camps, never had any conferences to go to and learn about sickle cell, never even had another family that we can call to see what they were doing to live better with sickle cell. I struggled. It wasn't until I was 2026, I moved to Orlando, Florida, and Miss Carla Lewis from Kids Conquering Sickle Cell, I started volunteering with her and her organization, and she took me to Sickle Cell Conference in Atlanta. It was the consortium had a conference, and it changed my life when I walked through and seen other warriors that looked like me, because I never experienced that.
Wow.
And when I walked through the doors and I seen Shamanica and Joelle and Kadeem and all of those faces that now we've grown into advocacy, it's very important, because now when I got taken to the conference, it was like, okay, this is my purpose. I'm supposed to be here. And it actually gave me a voice, and it gave me a different perspective on how to live with sickle cell, because I wasn't doing that. I was struggling as a youth with sickle cell.
Wow. I love that. Thank you for sharing that with us, DeMitrious. Dr. Shurney, I see a big smile on your face after hearing all of those perspectives.
Yes, yeah. I love hearing about camp because I'm a general pediatrician by training. I spent 30 years in the comprehensive sickle cell clinic at Children's Hospital. And when my father passed away, I was called to do leadership at the community-based organization. And it just really occurred to me that I could do more for the community from that standpoint. And the way I really think about it is that we're the boots on the ground. Mm-hmm. We are in the trenches. And I think we have an understanding because of our exposure, because of listening. And I feel like we're like a trusted place. And Wally Smith says, how do you spell relief? Trust. And if there's a place where you can go, where you feel safe, so many warriors will call us and ask us questions about clinical trials and about medications. And I just feel as though we're a listening ear, and a source of education and information and comfort.
I love that. Me and Dr. C were talking about this on the way here today, is that you spent some time in clinic with me, Dr. Callahan, right? And while we were there, you realized that the clinic's not enough.
No. Yeah. I mean, you have 15 minutes sometimes, 20 minutes. It's busy. You got a lot of things to tackle. And there's so much you don't get to. Important stuff. And you just can't. And we were always so blessed to have the SCDAA Michigan in town providing education, providing support, and building a community, because it has to be a partnership between the clinic and the CBO.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The running of a CBO, though, that's not an easy undertaking. That's not an easy task. We've seen Dr. Shurney front row in Detroit having to go through that. So I'm pretty familiar with how hard things have been and how hard you work to make that operation go. Rae, I'd love to hear a little bit of your perspective and how things are in Minnesota.
As a newer organization, or an organization that may or may not be as well networked, it really is about the difficulty of making sure that people know you exist. If we're based in the community, we want people to know that we're in the community. If we are partnering with institutions, we want institutions to know that we exist, and we want them to understand how we can enhance their programs, how we can improve their outcomes, and being able to articulate those needs in such a way that people don't just see you as a fire marshal, but they see you as a friend and even sometimes an extension of their family. That's the difficulty. But making those partnerships and making sure that people understand what you do, your mission, and the programs that you offer can sometimes be a challenge.
Does that resonate with you, Tabatha, and Georgia?
Absolutely. I think the thing that's most misunderstood is that a community-based organization is a business. We have audits, we have to raise money, we have to pay for advertisement, we have to network with the pharmaceutical companies, we have to understand what our sickle cell warriors need on a day-to-day, because it's one thing for us to come up with programs because we feel that's what's best. But the thing that we all enjoy is that we really listen to our warriors. We let them tell us what they need most. And so funding is very important. People don't understand what it takes to run a business, and it takes a lot of money to run a business, particularly when you're an organization that provide direct care and direct services, financial assistance. We have so many of our warriors calling saying, I need help with my medication, I need help with transportation, I need help with a funeral service, I need help with just the day-to-day college expenses. And so when you have all these things before you, then you have to understand that we're a business. It's not just a community-based organization. Just started because we didn't have anything else to do. We started those organizations because we really care and we really want to reach out to our sickle cell warriors and provide a safe haven, as Dr. Shurney said. We want them to have a place that they call home. One of my warriors just talked about there are so many other diseases that have a home. Cancer has a home. Diabetes have have a home. But the sickle cell warriors never really had what we call a home until the community-based organizations. And so it's a big business. It's not just a small business. It's a big business. And it keeps us up as our executive directors, keep us up at night and saying, how are we going to raise funds? How are we going to assist our warriors? How are we going to provide for everything that they need? And then how are we going to get our legislators, the state lawmakers, the federal agencies, the pharmaceutical companies to understand that this is a business. And so we need to be compensated for the work that we do. And our warriors need to be compensated when they are utilized, advertisement, and things of that nature.
Thank you for that perspective.
You're welcome.
Yeah, spot on. I rarely have nothing to follow with. You have left me with nothing to follow with. But I've got to say, that's really important perspective. To me, one of the interesting parts about this panel here is the geographic spread of what we're talking about here. Let me ask you, I'm gonna propose a statement, and I want you guys to tell me if this is true or false. Are all CBOs for sickle cell disease the same?
No.
Sickle cell the same.
No.
Why is that false, Dr. Shurney? Do CBOs go about different ways to achieve what the community needs?
There are big CBOs and there are small CBOs.
Okay.
There are CBOs that provide direct services, and there are CBOs that just provide advocacy. I shouldn't say just, but provide advocacy. And there are CBOs with a lot of resources and CBOs with limited resources. And the Sickle Cell Disease Association of America Michigan chapter, we have the blessing of being connected to the state. And we run newborn screening for blood diseases for the state. So we have a $1.3 million budget.
Wow.
That, it's so important. I was talking in Wally Smith's program that we had earlier about having partnerships with the state.
Mm-hmm.
And that in Michigan, they care about sickle cell warriors. And I think that's something that my dad started and carried through. But yeah, there are lots of differences in community-based organizations. And then there are lots of similarities. We all come from wanting to help warriors, as you could hear in the mission. Warriors live the best life that they can live, and to help them to be activated and informed and ready to participate in client-centered care, so that the doctors can see them as patients that they really want to take care of.
Wow.
Because they know themselves. They know their bodies. Doctors need to listen to warriors and to parents, because the parents know their kids.
Yeah, that's so true. I learned more from parents than I did from Dr. Callahan. Howard, how's the experience in Miami as far as achieving what the community locally here needs? How do you go about it with your organization, which is a little bit of a newer organization, right?
Yes, we have been around for a while, but we're one of the newer organizations in the sense that we are much smaller than Dr. Shurney's organization, and our budget is not as big as hers. But I'll just say that something. But Miami is very spreads out beyond the geographical thing. So we got to go there. And a lot of this, we have, yes, the physicians, the hematologists, oncologists who work along with the patient, but we go out and talk to them ourselves. And in doing so, we get an more hands-on feeling of these people. We visit their homes, we see how they live. We go to the school because, for example, a few years ago, I took on this, I got the responsibility where I went to pretty much about 40 of the high schools around Miami-Dade County every Thursday.
Wow.
Just giving about pamphlets and talking to them about sickle cell. And it's surprising. A lot of these kids was the first person they've ever seen with sickle cell alive.
Wow.
I remember this girl looking and said, "Sir, are you dead?" A little kind of laugh. The thing that she said, all the funerals she ever been to, the person in the coffin, in the casket. And that was the first person. And then, to make it a little bit maybe stranger to her, I graduated college. I had a bachelor's degree and an MBA. She was like, wow, because her thinking was that by 16, 17, she would have been dead. And seeing me then at 32, 33 years old, that was something for her. And even to this day, we still keep in touch. She called me, and she's in college now. So she always said that I'm the reason why she's alive. And not to say anything about myself, but I'm the reason why she's alive. And so we take that out in the community, and we usually try to get a couple of the patients to come along with us whenever we are going out, so they can really see someone who is alive with sickle cell disease and know that, yes, we have the experience, we have been transfused countless times, we have been through everything, but we're alive. It goes to say, sis, the importance of educating these people, advocating, and also informing them.
Amazing. Thank you for that perspective.
You're welcome.
TaLana, I'm going to pull you into the conversation here, and we touched on it briefly. We talked about the different stakeholders that CBOs need to work with to try to meet the needs of the community that they're serving. We talked about the state, federal government in general. We talked about healthcare practitioners, right, whether it be MDs, NPs, whoever's in the community clinics. let's talk a little bit about the elephant in the room. We touched on pharma a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about pharma and how you guys leverage your relationship with pharma to kind of, A, understand better what the community may need, B, have the resources to maybe potentially go out and do that.
Okay. First, I'd like to say it's about time. It took pharma way too long, but now we're advancing and we're here. But I think we always have to remember that we're here and we are still a community that a lot of individuals, they feel hopeless. It took so long that it almost, the hopelessness turned into despair and then almost turned into distrust. Because why did it take so long? Why aren't we important? Why didn't we deserve to have a cure sooner or treatment sooner? But with that being said, because they are here, then again, as mentioned before, as the trusted resource in the community, then a lot of the education and the information that our families receive comes from us first. So we have the responsibility to make sure that it's at a level where they can understand and they can relate. Dr. C mentioned time. When you're in a hospital setting, there is not a lot of time. And I know we all have heard the saying, I got time today. Mm-hmm. At the CBOs, we have the time and we spend the time to have the conversations and talk with and to the families to understand what they don't understand so then we can be an assistant and be able to translate it.
Go ahead, Rae. I see that you have something to add there.
The evolution of the relationships that have been built within the pharmaceutical companies, I think that they are really important. We have to remember that there was a time that medicine was created, developed, researched without us. And now we are in a time where we can, as Dr. Lakia Bailey with the Sickle Cell Consortium says, nothing for us without us. And so our existence helps to inform the work of not just the clinic, but also the pharmaceutical companies as they create products that actually help us to accomplish our mission as well.
I just want to say that one of the things that I'm so happy about in terms of pharmaceutical companies is their effort to help warriors understand the mechanisms by which drugs work. Mm-hmm. Because I think what's important for warriors to know what's going on inside their bodies. I've been known for referring to warriors as snowflakes. And I guess community-based organizations are like snowflakes too. Mm-hmm. But I just think that understanding what a medication is doing to your body and understanding what sickle cell disease is doing to your body are really important things that I think you've done a pretty good job of.
I'm glad to hear that. As TaLana said, it's about time, right? DeMitrious, I think you have an interesting perspective here, right? I've had the opportunity to, thankfully, me and Dr. C, in our short term in pharma so far, we've had an opportunity to work with you quite a bit. Tell us a little bit about that partnership.
I believe it's great and it's important. I believe it's important because I'm able to echo the warriors that look like me. They're able to see me and be inspired. So like we did the Rise Up campaign, Amia was a part of that. It was just beautiful because it was like literally patient driven. It was for us, by us. All the insight that we got, we set on the board for. So we actually put it all together, and then we had a voice behind it to show our resiliency. So it's good to have a partnership with Big Pharma, with pharmaceutical companies, because it actually gives us a voice to echo and be louder for people to be able to see us and be inspired so that they know new treatments are available, so that they can see DeMitrious is a part of this and they feel inspired. Oh, me is a part of this and they feel inspired. It's a blessing that we're actually able to partner with you all, and yeah, I hope that we get more opportunities to be louder because we need more of it.
Yeah, I hope so too, man.
Yeah, I think this is such an important two-way partnership for pharma to do a good job. They really need the input of people who it's going to impact and the community at large that it's going to impact, and to incorporate that into the things that they're doing. And there's so much trust with the CBOs that I think a lot of patients won't take medicines that might help them because they have that trust question. And if the CBOs understand and believe that the therapy can help that patient and they can digest it and explain it in a way that makes sense, and they have that rapport with the patient, I think it means more patients are going to be on the therapies they need and people are going to be living better. So I think it's such an important two-way relationship that we just have to keep building.
And I must add, it also gives more education for understanding clinical trials and how they work for warriors who've never gone through a clinical trial and understand. It's real good to see.
Do you guys find yourselves across the panelists here spending some time talking about clinical trials day to day?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of interest.
Yeah, there's a lot of question. What do you think about that clinical trial?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to go back to something that Mike was saying about being more likely to take a medication because you understand what's going on. But the other thing is to help warriors to be prescribed medications, because it's amazing the number of doctors that don't prescribe the medication.
Amen.
So I give warriors handouts of all the different medications and say, take this to your doctor and say, which one, let's talk about these medications. Because I had one physician tell me that she didn't talk about a certain medication because she didn't think people would take it. They don't want to take it. How are they going to take it if you don't offer it to them? So I think that's something that community-based organizations can do, is make people aware that there are medications there for them to try. And everybody's different, and what might work for you, you need to have the option, right? You need to be able to make a choice.
May I say something?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. Remember some years ago I was in a trial and I spoke to one of my friends about it. And the first thing he said to me was, "Friend, you're a guinea pig." And that got to me. But then I came back at him and I said, "Listen, man, each medication I take, someone was the guinea pig in the process, maybe 20, 30 years before me, because it goes through the different stages in the trial." And I said, sadly, during the process, sometimes some people may have lost their life. So I'm able to take that medication. So I don't really take it lightly with trial process and when it comes to medication, because, hey, people go through this, millions of dollars spent, and also when it comes to the human aspect, the human factor of it, so that we can take the medication to help us along the way.
It's a great point. Actually, early in my fellowship, Dr. Shurney, I got this talking point from her where she said, you know what, the guinea pig was the guinea pig. Like they
Have guinea pigs.
Yeah.
Yep. Phase 0 trials.
Yeah. That was an interesting perspective for me. Thank you all for sharing your perspectives there. I want to go back to something that actually for us in Detroit, we're starting to see the fruits of now engagement with state, with legislators, what that means, what that does. I want to hear from the rest of you. What's happening with your orgs? How are you interfacing? How are you actually empowering the community by talking to the state, talking to lobbyists, federal agencies, etc.? I'd love to hear these perspectives. Let's start with you, Tabatha.
Thank you for asking that. Advocating at the state level is so important. Having our sickle cell warriors know who their representatives are is so important. We took a stance that not only were we going to advocate for our own organization, but I started advocating for other CBOs inside of the state of Georgia that were smaller, maybe that did not have the resources that I had. And so as a result of that, we received monies to provide grants to other community-based organizations. And so we called it Bridging the Divide in the Community, because many at some point thought that we were in competition, but we're not in competition. The sickle cell warrior is going to win when we all come together and pool our resources. And so understanding the state, having the sickle cell day at the Capitol, all of us showing up together. This year, I think we had over 400 individuals that showed up at the state Capitol. And then now our state representatives, our legislators, the senators, the representatives, they understand that we're very serious, that we're advocating for a large cause here. We're advocating for a rare disease that have been overlooked and misunderstood for so many decades. People haven't given us any attention. We have one of the larger budgets from the state of Georgia. We received $2.8 million from the state of Georgia for direct care, access to care for our sickle cell warriors. And inside of that monies also go to our other CBOs. And my goal is to have us at $5 million in the next fiscal year that's coming up. And I feel very confident about that because they see the evidence of the work that we're doing. And as a result of that, we're starting to decrease the emergency room visits as well as hospitalizations in the state of Georgia, because now we have a mobile health hub that the state legislators wanted us to go to these rural areas in Columbus and Augusta and Albany and Savannah, Hyattsville, and we have executive directors inside of each one of those organizations. And so we're all pulling together, advocating together, and now with Regina Harts for SCDAA, she's advocating on a federal level and bringing us all in. And so now we all have a voice collectively together, collaborating to get the federal legislative budgets there for the sickle cell centers. They want to fund 100 centers inside of the U.S. and make them sickle cell centers. We're really excited. We're excited that advocating is working. We've been fortunate enough to hire a lobbyist who has sickle cell trait, white guy, and it really helped a lot, to be honest with you. And so Andy has been with us for 10 years. And so when we first started out at the state of Georgia, we was only receiving $25,000, but today we're at $2.8 million. So we're making a big dent.
Amazing. DeMitrious, from a warrior perspective, have you had an opportunity to do that type of advocacy?
I haven't, but I am. I'm about to get my boots dirty.
All right, I love that.
Yeah,
I love
real
that.
Not these. I'll get these dirty too. But yeah.
Yeah, Rae.
I believe it's important.
I think so too.
I think being able to just understand legislation as a warrior and being able to get letters written and then just to understand for the people that's in position to see that, hey, there are CBOs in this community. How can we intensify the scream, the echo?
Yeah, I think that there's something really important about legislation. And I mentioned this in the workshop earlier, but COVID-19 came and all of a sudden there was healthcare disparity. Like, really? Oh, there's healthcare disparity? And I think that this implicit bias training, okay, we can do that, okay? But racism is something that's taught, and racism is a huge problem for sickle cell warriors, and you learn that. And so I don't know if we're really gonna fix that. So I am less concerned about how the healthcare provider feels about the warrior and much more concerned about how they treat the warrior. And one of the pieces of legislation that we're working on in Michigan is to have it so that there are certain ways that you're required, irrespective of what you think about them. This is the way you have to treat them. And I think we really have to move in that direction. We have lots of protocols. We have wonderful protocols. But if the doctors won't follow them, then that doesn't do us any good.
I love that. So true. This conversation can go forever, but I really want to get to one more point that I want to hear from all of you on. I want you guys to spend a little bit of time telling Dr. C, myself, and the audience about something that you've done, instituted, that your CBO has programmatically generated, created, that you're proud of. Talk to us about the wins. TaLana, let's start with you.
I think the wins come from us having conversations with our patients and families and finding out where the gaps lie and where the needs lie. And then us, as a result of that, raising the money and being able to actually provide answers. So we were just talking about advocacy and the importance of talking to your legislators, which I found a lot of times when we go talk to the legislators, they'll say, we don't have anyone in our district with sickle cell disease. So then we had to come back and make sure our families understand that you have sickle cell disease. So your legislators, your aldermen, alderwomen, they need to know in your community so they can do what they should be doing to help to fix it. So again, I think just being an advocate is one arena, but then we have opportunities as executive directors and have platforms that we're able to be a part of, like coming to conferences. So to then turn around and to be able to bring 20, 30 of our families from Illinois to a national convention so that they can meet, as DeMitrious meant before, meet other individuals that have sickle cell disease, but then also to see and know that there's a larger platform. And then I'm not the only one going through this or dealing with sickle cell disease. So I think for me, the win comes from being able to include our patients and families in everything, but then to be able to provide them with opportunities and know that they aren't alone.
I love that. Rae?
During the peak of COVID, we began a program called Sickle Smile, or at least we began the planning stages of it. And that program was specifically about finding the healthy things that make you smile and doing more of it. And it was about behavioral health. It was an initiative that we created because we recognized that even as we normalize therapy, there are some people who may never sit in front of a therapist, and that there are non-traditional ways of receiving therapy. And if you think back to when you were a kid, when we went outside, there was something about having fun that became therapeutic for us. And so our Sickle Smile program is about leading with fun and bringing education into it versus leading with education and trying to have fun on the back end. And that, we have found, really allows people to enjoy themselves first and foremost, and they become more receptive to the education and the materials, the things we talk about.
Oh, wow. There you go. Dr. Shurney.
There are all kinds of wins, and they're all important. And I think one of the biggest wins for me, and I have to mention a couple. Is that
Sure,
okay?
of course. No, go ahead.
Is when people come back to me and say the impact that the SCDAA has had on their lives, made their lives a little bit better. So that's a huge win for me. One of the things that I think is really doesn't get enough attention in the sickle cell community is when we lose a warrior. And one of the things that I just completed is a 8-week workshop for people who are grieving for the loss of a loved one.
Wow.
And it was really a workshop for me because I have lost so many, I've been to so many funerals, and you got to find something to do with those feelings and to stay motivated. But the main thing that I have to talk about very briefly is the Charles F. Whitten Center of Excellence for Sickle Cell Disease, to be located at the Henry Ford Health System. And to tell you that I just feel like that is why I'm on this planet, and that it is going to be awesome. When I did the focus group, they said the main thing they wanted was a same-day treatment center. We'll have that. We'll have a person implanted in the clinic to do primary care, mental health, alternative ways of managing pain, acupuncture, cognitive behavioral therapy, a full-time mental health professional, full-time social worker, a true medical home for individuals living with sickle cell disease.
Amazing.
So I can't wait, and that's my mission in life right now.
Amazing. DeMitrious.
There's been some losses, but there's been more wins than losses, and I'm grateful for that. Just to be able to create in a space. My approach has always been a little different and strategic. Just trying to educate through music and video and film, telling my story and telling our story, reflecting the life that we've lived. And I also came out with a creation that I created called Save the Mail Trunks. It's a Pride Prism education. And what that is, Pride Prism is educating young men and caregivers on what they need to do, protocols to take before having to go to emergency care. So things that you can do at home to relieve your Pride Prism. And just a motivational toolkit. It's a care package that I send out to men all across the globe. I've actually sent out 200 boxes, and they went to Jamaica, Nigeria, and it's just some nice places where some young men are in need of some education on Pride Prism, because it's a topic that's really touchy, and a lot of men don't want to talk about it because it's a very vulnerable subject. So I just wanted to encourage men. So Pride Prism is a prolonged erection that men have with sickle cell, and it's because our blood doesn't flow how it needs to. So you get an erection in your penis area that is very painful, and sometimes it takes real treatment to make it go down. And just to make sure that they're inspired and encouraged to know that this is a part of sickle cell, nothing to feel ashamed or embarrassed about. I definitely wanted to motivate and encourage and educate more on that, so I'm going to push that for the rest of my life. Pride Prism education.
Thank you for that, DeMitrious.
Like everybody said, we had so many losses, we've had so many wins, but the win that I'm most excited about, I just want to say this first. Unfortunately, in 2006, I lost my 20-year-old son to epilepsy, and it was because he was a victim of racism, dismissed, and so they didn't catch it until much, much later, and it was so much more damage that was done because they felt like he was using drugs, or we didn't understand what was going on. And so doctor after doctor, neurologist after neurologist, finally they was like, oh, your son have epilepsy. But by then, it was just so much damage that was done to the brain that it was irreversible, and unfortunately he passed away on December the 6th. And so I entered this space with sickle cell, understanding caregivers, understanding siblings and how they were dealing with when you have a child that's very sickly, understanding for myself as a mother feeling hopeless and there's nothing that I can do to stop this. And then I had my own medical challenges. Unfortunately, in 2015, I suffered both a heart attack and a stroke because I did go to the emergency room. And once again, because we're victims of racism, I was said that, oh, you're just under a lot of stress. You just moved here to Atlanta, go home, take a nap, take a couple of leave. But if they had just taken a blood test, they would have known that I was on the verge of having a heart attack. And so unfortunately, the very next day, 3 o'clock in the morning, I did have a heart attack and had to have open heart surgery and had to undergo many months of therapy. And then I was addicted to all these different medications that I was taking that made me feel lethargic. My hair came out. I didn't feel good at all. Hence, I started going to see a holistic doctor. And the holistic doctor, within 6 months under his care, really changed my life. And I was able to get off all these medications that they were giving me. But I do take 1 aspirin every day still. And so the thing that I'm most proud of is that we will be opening on June the 18th a holistic wellness center for sickle cell. And I'm so excited about it. And the thing that I'm most excited about, because Dr. Shurney said earlier, we want to give warriors options. We found that many warriors had never experienced holistic care, acupuncture, reflexology, mental health therapy and treatment, massages. We have yoga on the line. We have a medical director. We have a nurse practitioner. We have 2 registered nurses. We have a medical center wellness doctor. We have a hematology and oncology doctor. So we will be also offering traditional care inside of our wellness center because we understand we want our sickle cell warriors to have options. Medication is an option for them. Holistic care is going to be an option for them. But most importantly, when you see this place, it looks like a spa. It is so beautiful. I cannot wait for them to experience it. And then the most important thing is we're paying our doctors. So guess what? Our sickle cell warriors get to come with free service. We're going to take care of them. We're going to meet them with love. We're going to meet them with smile. And we're going to meet them with the option that they need to finally say, I have a place that I can call home. So thank you.
Amazing. Amazing.
Don't forget about those 5 commercial-grade massage chairs.
Yeah, those massage chairs are unbelievable. Our staff is always in them now on their lunch break. And I really want the Sickle Cell Sanctuary to be worldwide. I want every state to have 1 or 2 or 3. And we called it the Sanctuary because we realized that we wanted to have a safe place, something that was very relaxing, something that they can feel good about. And so as soon as they walk in, there's nice, soft music is playing. We got waterfalls all over the place. And I just can't wait. June the 18th on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. is our grand opening ribbon cutting ceremony. And we already have over 500 RSVPs, and it's going to be an incredible event.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Great work.
That's great. Okay, in Miami-Dade County, we started this program. It's called Breakfast with Santa. Now realize that during the Christmas season, a lot of people, especially kids, they're expecting something. But sometimes the parents have so many kids around them that it's difficult. Yeah. So what we do, we collect from the fire department, the police department, other individuals from the board all over the place. They give us gifts, and then we distribute these gifts. We partner with one of the oldest churches in the Miami-Dade County neighborhood. So we have a Christmas party there, semi-party, and we get the kids, give them gifts. Sometimes we put some money in it for them as well, a little book for them to read, and of course some information for the parents to explain to them sickle cell disease. And also we take this now, after the day is finished, the following day, this Sunday, we go around to the other hospitals in the Miami-Dade County, and whatever is left and some new stuff, we give them to the kids as well. So that's our program here, Breakfast with Santa.
That is so wonderful. Can I just say one more thing real quick? I just want to make sure everyone understands we are starting with adults in our center, 18 years and up. We are working on additional funding so we can start treating children as well with holistic services. But for right now, we're starting with our adults 18 and up.
Awesome.
Howard, you know what? I think that the kind of program that you do that's reaching out to families, it can be life-changing. It can change a child's perception. Somebody cares about me enough to come and bring this.
Yes.
So that's what I'm talking about, the boots on the ground.
Yes.
Yeah,
But so many
absolutely.
children don't have gifts. They have nothing for Christmas.
And sometimes too, it's sad about some of these parents. Maybe either one of them sometimes they're incarcerated as well.
Yes.
Grandma, grandpa, we are 3rd generation, great grand, trying to raise these kids. So we come around and it's very difficult. It's a sad moment sometimes. They're so happy to see us, but at the same time, they're in pain. I remember last December, this girl told us she got us about 8 o'clock in the morning, and she was there by 9:30, 9:45, and then she went back in the hospital after that again. Right. Yeah, they look forward to the 3rd Saturday in December. Wow. At the same time, we start our stuff to get it through to them.
That's powerful.
So we try.
Thank you. Wow. Dr. C.
I didn't know. They're not just community-based organizations. They're like community-based laboratories testing out these wonderful ideas. And there's all of these ones across the country that are working.
Yeah. That's almost like the real clinical trials, right?
Yeah.
It's what actually is changing humans.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
And then we all work together. Like we call on Dr. Shurney, we'll call on TaLana, Rae, we call on Regina, we call on all the executive directors inside the community. And, we talk with them about some things that we're thinking about. Because there's nothing like talking to another executive director and having them understand what you're dealing with on a day-to-day as an executive director. It's a lot of pressure because all day it's an exchange. So you're exchanging, you're pouring into other people. So sometimes you need to be poured into as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think one of our biggest challenges is that some people don't know that we exist.
Right.
And then people don't know what we do.
Yeah.
And then some people think we do something that we don't do, which is we don't give medical advice.
We don't.
And I think that a lot of physicians say, oh,
That's a rumor.
That's a rumor.
That's a rumor.
Advice.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad that you clarified that.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
Dr. C, do you know how to follow what these orgs are up to on social media?
I don't. Do you do, Dr. Z?
I don't think I do. Can you guys tell us? How can we keep up with what you're doing?
All of us are on social media.
Yeah?
Yes.
Facebook, Instagram, and our websites and YouTube.
So people should go find you.
Yes.
They should add you.
Yes.
And they should make sure they follow through on
Follow.
what's happening.
And share what we're doing. Yes.
And if they
subscribe-
follow
and
you,
subscribe to our
you
mailing
follow
list.
them back?
Absolutely.
Yes.
We follow back
All right.
Follow back. And we share back.
and share back.
Yes.
We have really fun content. We have some of the most creative individuals in the sickle cell community and in the CBOs, and we have fun with what we do.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of talent in our sickle cell warriors. Thinking about Blaze, and I'm thinking about this young man right here. I'm just so excited.
Yeah.
We have a lot of talent, a lot of gift. I was talking to Mia earlier today, and she's going back to school. Just got accepted for her master's. And I was like, well, you just go ahead on and keep going straight through Mia to get your doctorate. So we got a lot of talent, a lot of educated, a lot of professional people, and they should not be ignored just because they look a certain way. They should really be taken to heart. And people need to start listening and caring with their heart and not having this preconceived, oh, they're not in pain just because they don't look like they're in pain. I was dismissed because I didn't look like I was in pain, but I had a heart attack.
Spot on.
You talk, we're going to go on and on, but when you talk about talent, I think about Hertz Nazaire.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
Yes.
One talented brother.
That was a talented young man.
Yes.
That's your shirt.
That's his shirt that you have on. Yes.
Yeah.
Howard.
And Howard, yeah. His art, was out of this world.
Look, I don't think we could end on a higher note than Hertz Nazaire.
Yes.
So with that, panelists, Dr. C, this was a fantastic episode.
I think the best one yet.
I agree. Any last words for us, Dr. C?
I think it's been said. Great group of guests today. We'll have to get all of these social media handles in the show notes so you can follow them.
Absolutely.
And stay tuned.
All right. Thanks for joining us for this live Cheat Codes, audience. We appreciate you.